Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining me in this video. Today is 18th day of March, being Tuesday, 2025. The news reaching us that Nnamdi Kanu to defend himself in court as trial resumes on 24th. On 24th, that is this Friday, okay? Now, we all are aware of Justice Omotosho's, date to commence the hearing of Nnamdi Kanu after the case has been reassigned to him. Now, Kanunta, the brother to Nnamdi Kanu, is making us to understand that Nnamdi Kanu will be going to court alone to defend himself. For me, I don't know what resulted to that. However, that does not mean that he don't have counsels again. He have, and his lawyers has been doing, I think, absolutely well. So I think maybe it's because before now, Nnamdi Kanu has been, trying to defend himself in the court. We saw what transpired in last record proceedings with Justice Binta Nyako. Even before she asked her to recuse herself, the drama that played in court. Now, following the next court proceedings, the day she asked Nyako to recuse herself. Then after Nyako did, then after the whole drama, the federal government, of which I know it was manipulated, they still returned the case file to Justice Nyako, asking her continue the case. Is it not Nnamdi Kanu? It's not the government. We are in charge. Anyway, at the end, we will truly know who is in charge. So at the end, Nnamdi Kanu, prevailed in the quest of removing Justice Binta Nyako. So after that, they fixed the court date. That is where we are now. And they are telling us that Nnamdi Kanu will be going to court to defend himself. Now, this article reads that Nnamdi Kanu to defend himself in court as trial resumed on March 31st. At the end of this video, I will really ask if, to seek public's opinion regarding this. Now, let's go through this article to understand the details of this news. The leader of the indigenous people of Biafra IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, has decided to defend himself in court when his trial resumed on March 21st, 2025 at Federal High Court, Abuja. The first paragraph of this article will make you to understand that it's a personal decision. Okay, he decided that he is going to defend himself. So that very day, that does not mean that his counsels will not follow him to the court. Okay, that does not mean that Nando Ijimako, Maswell Obara, and the rest will not go with him to the court. But they are telling us that he has chosen to defend himself. Now, his brother Emmanuel Kanu disclosed this in a statement on Tuesday on behalf of his family. According to the statement, Kanu's decision to represent himself aims to ensure a fair hearing without the legal delays that have plagued his case. Now, this paragraph is now letting us to understand the purpose why Nnamdi Kanu wants to defend himself. Not because of inability of his counsels to do so, but he is saying that he wants to represent himself for the aim of fair hearing without illegal delays. Now, I believe that normally what Nnamdi Kanu is doing in the court, his audacity and his courage, imagine if Ando Ijimako stood up like Nnamdi Kanu and vibrates like Nnamdi Kanu, and maybe he spoke like Nnamdi Kanu, they could have suspended him. Maybe not suspending, sorry. Maybe the judge could have even shut him up and asked him to sit down, okay? Because it is a legal profession, the people there are his seniors. But when it comes to the person, the defendant himself, Nnamdi Kanu, I think a defendant has a right in the court to defend himself as well. And the name Nnamdi Kanu generates fear to so many people. You might not understand what I'm saying. That name, Nnamdi Kanu, it generates fear to so many people, especially if your hands is not clean. Now, it reads, on Friday, 21st March 2025, when the trial of Maison Nnamdi Kanu resumed before Justice James Omotosho at the Federal High Court, Abuja, he will be taking the bold step of defending himself in court. The statement described this move as a turning point in a case that has exposed concerns about the Nigeria judiciary handling of matters linked to Biafra's self-determination. Now, without reading what is in Nnamdi Kanu's mind, I think since a lot of people are interested, when I mean a lot of people, I'm talking about international communities, okay? They are interested in this case and everybody is seeing what is going on. I think Nnamdi Kanu will defend himself to also, expose more and more things to the world. I think that is another point to it, because there are so many things a lawyer cannot say. If not, maybe they will even go to Nigeria bar something, and they will say they want to suspend you. But as a defendant, he can say everything he knows that is true. That is true. Okay. Now, the article continues that the absence of the traditional legal representation will dismantle the unusual, as minorities constraints that govern judicial proceeding in Nigeria that has for decades allowed the court to brazenly subvert the cause of justice under a cloak of difference that shed rather than to expose injustice. The very foundation of the institution bias that has long lodged this case will be laid bare for the world to see, it continues. The family also linked Kanu's decision to his successful push for the recusal of Binta Nyako, who had presided over the case. Okay? Well, that should not be enough reason that Nnamdi Kanu was able to push for Nyako to go away. It's not enough reason, but the reason is that I think Nnamdi Kanu knows, he has studied the court judgment, he knows everything, he knows what to say, he wants to choose his words that he wants to tell the judge. Now, the statement said the decision by Nnamdi Kanu comes on the heels of successful forcing the recusal of Justice Binta Nyako, who brazenly defied the Supreme Court of Nigeria through her selective implementation of determination contained in their judgment. Yes, this was my insight again. I said Binta Nyako have, decided not to respect the Supreme Court judgment. That is very wrong and very bad. She chooses the one to, select and pick. So that was why Nnamdi Kanu was furious. Now, it continues that she was hell-bent on convicting a person for exercising a right that the laws of Nigeria stated unambiguously that he could. The statement further criticized the federal government's handling of the case, calling it prejudiced and unfair. The handling of this case by the federal government has been marred by the prejudice and unfairness from the one. Oyendo's shift to self-defense underscore our distrust in a system perceived to be stacked against us and the cause he championed. It also places an immense burden on Justice Omotosho to uphold the principles of fair hearing, fair trial, and the rule of law. Principles that have too often been undermined in this politically charged sham trial. It warned that the global community is watching how the judiciary handles the trial. The world is watching. Any failure by Justice Omotosho to ensure justice is not only done, but seen to be done will further erode confidence in a judiciary already criticized for its selective application of law. The stake could not be higher, and the implication of this trial extend far beyond the courtroom. After Justice Nyako's recusal, the case has been reassigned to Justice James Omotosho. Kanu had previously challenged Nyako's continued handling of the case during the last court appearance. Kanu has been held in solitary confinement in the Department of State Service headquarters in Abuja since his controversial arrest and extradition from Kenya in June 2021. What do you think about this move by Nnamdi Kanu? For me, I do not see it as a bad thing, and I think it's just something that is emotion, okay? And I believe his legal counsel are with him that everything will go fine, okay? That is my belief, everything will go fine. And one thing that I am waiting to see is that Nnamdi Kanu is someone that don't agree for people to ride over him. That is to say that if Justice James Omotosho refused to follow the Supreme Court judgment, Nnamdi Kanu will still vibrate. He will not agree. He don't care. He's even ready to stay there than to allow maybe a judge to select some things from Supreme Court judgment and do some things. That is just what I'm seeing over there, that the man will not allow them to, mess over him. So we look forward to seeing what could happen on Friday. Friday is just around the corner, on 21st day of March, 2025. Let me know what you think about this. Thank you.
So, if anybody, when Nigerian citizens see the details of the Supreme Court statement today, they will marvel at how, after saying all these illegalities that the federal government and their security agencies committed, all they had to do was that the primary court said, the appeal court said that the primary court had no jurisdiction. So they condemned the appeal court for taking that decision. Therefore, because the primary court had jurisdiction, the case should go back to them. So if in all these atrocities they committed, they had killed Nnamdi Kanu, what would be the basis of the primary court and its jurisdiction? What would be the basis of it? You know, when I studied, I talked about judicial rascality. So what it empowers is security rascality. Because you cannot tell other police, army, navy, air force, condemn them plainly, and then you exonerate them. So you give them license to kill Nigerians, just like they are doing in Plateau, killing people. They are doing in Benue. Herdsmen are killing people. But you haven't had any person in this country condemn the herdsmen of Nigeria for killing hundreds of thousands of Nigerians. You haven't had them condemn the killings in southern Kaduna. So the security agencies are being encouraged to recklessness. And recklessness is not about spoken word. Recklessness with gun, killing Nigerian citizens. So if anybody, when Nigerian citizens see the details of the Supreme Court statement today, they will marvel at how, after saying all these illegalities that the federal government and their security agencies committed, all they had to do was that the primary court said, the appeal court said that the primary court had no jurisdiction. So they condemned the appeal court for taking that decision. Therefore, because the primary court had jurisdiction, the case should go back to them. So if in all these atrocities they committed, they had killed Nnamdi Kanu, what would be the basis of the primary court and its jurisdiction? What would be the basis of it? And look at the whole panel, about 7 judges, not one Igbo man, not one person from the southeast, not one person from the south. So it's a contrived business to put that boy, to put him behind bar. And we have been asking that they should turn him to Kuje prison. They refuse. Why wouldn't they allow him to go to Kuje prison? Why keep him at the DSS? Why? So it shows you that Nigeria is not interested in fighting insecurity. Because if they were interested and they love this country, they would have seen that Nnamdi Kanu is a major instrument that will bring security. Southeast will be a beginning. The other parts of the country would have been a follow-up. So it's unfortunate that you condemn security forces for the crimes they commit and you exonerate them by keeping Nnamdi Kanu there and asking that we go back again, to start case from, Federal High Court Africa. What actually is the sin of Nnamdi Kanu? Asking for justice for everything. That's what he's saying. That the Southeast has been completely, excommunicated from everything that happens in this country. So we pray that this young man, I don't know whether you have had the privilege to speak with him, one of the most brilliant young men you can ever come across. Not only is he brilliant, but well spoken. Why this country shows you that we have no values. Can you imagine a boy that a whole zone respects? A whole zone respects him. Who else, apart from M.I. Okpara in those days and Dr. Nnamdi Kanu, they don't have as much respect as this young man. That would have been an advantage for Tinubu and his government with the National Security Advisor to say, look, how do we seriously start to curb this insecurity in the country? If this boy is so loved by his people, why don't we sit him down and discuss with him, know where he's coming from? If there are things he's agitating against we can solve, we start doing something. And look at Northwest and Northeast. Look at where the country is today. Everywhere is war, killing people. Killing is no more, it's an admirable, concept in Nigeria now. Any day nobody is killed, you don't hear it, then it's abnormal. But in a normal day, hundreds killed in herdsmen in Benue Plateau, in southern Kaduna, in the southeast, then not to talk of the bandits and Boko Haram in northeast and northwest. That one is a daily occurrence, killing hundreds of thousands. We're a country without statistics. If we have good statistics, people will riot to know the number of Nigerians who are dying. Every town now, in all parts of the country, people are burying people. People go to bed, they won't wake up. So it's all cumulative effect of total insecurity. Probably you do work somewhere, nobody pays you. You are working for somebody, you are not paid. You go to bed, you are thinking of what you will tell your wife in the morning. You can't pay school fees. The man goes to bed and won't wake up. And we say, God, please take my life. Why am I living? When a man cannot take care of his immediate family, what life is it anymore? And you don't want people to react. Young men leave school, no work, and they see somebody who rigged an election and goes to Abuja and he buys a armored-plated jeep for 160 million, and you want him to go and sleep. His parents sell their property to train our young men and women, and they come out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. They can't say good morning, thank you to their parents. They will look at their parents without any hope of tomorrow. Parents who have trained their children, we should have hope that their children should get back to take care of them. But it's not the case in Nigeria. And we don't appear, our legislators are not interested. Executive all over the place are not interested. So I don't know how this problem will be sorted out. I normally find it very difficult to discuss a profession that I'm not one. But common sense also tells you that you can reason. If somebody is talking, you can reason. But it's painful because some patriotic peoples, I saw 1 or 2 senators there who left everything they were doing to come to the Supreme Court with some hope. Because if you listen to the judgment of the appeal court, it was fundamentally very literate, accommodating on every aspect of it. So people were very hopeful that the appeal court would uphold the judgment of the Court of Appeal. The Supreme Court will uphold the judgment of the Court of Appeal, and that would have been a case done for. But unfortunately, because if you were in the Supreme Court, like I was, we were there as early as 8:30 in the morning. And when he started running this judgment, on every aspect of that case, he condemned the Supreme Court condemned the federal government of Nigeria. In fact, they used the word illegality not less than 20 times. The killing of people at Nnamdi Kanu's father's compound, they even named the number of people killed, the rendition from Kenya, how he was kidnapped. It was difficult to believe that after condemning the security services for unauthorized and unorthodox behavior, kidnapping Nigerians and killing people anyhow, I have never seen a court with that kind of finality in terms of condemning public officers who were working for government, telling them, you don't take the laws into your hands, only to finally, because they said they disagreed with the appeal court, that the lower court had no jurisdiction. It was the basis of what they are doing, that they should now go back to that court because it has jurisdiction to hear the case in the first place. That's just a matter of. So if Nnamdi Kanu dies, after all this illegality, what case are they going to hear? This boy has been under detention for how many years now? Even the Supreme Court was asking all these questions too. The illegality that has been meted against him, and yet they still will go back again to the federal high courts, where we then will start begging for bail. Even condemned the government, that court, for revoking his bail. That was the exact statement of the Supreme Court. So you don't even know the basis of their final decision. So when people say that there is a judicial rascality in this country, you cannot but agree with those people, because unless it affects you, you won't appreciate why they said so. Because when you at the whole Supreme Court, everybody bent his face down. All lawyers were so astonished. To talk of embarrassment is an understatement. But in all cases, as a Christian, we give glory to God.